Senator Bernie Sanders and New York City Democratic mayoral nominee Zohran Mamdani wrapped up their Fighting Oligarchy rally in Brooklyn. Now, the two hosted a packed rally at Brooklyn College, stressing the importance of the race and slamming Trump and Mamdani's rival, former Governor Andrew Cuomo. This comes as Trump has tried to put his thumb on the mayoral race, reportedly speaking with Andrew Cuomo, as 8 people briefed on the discussions told the New York Times. Both men have denied speaking with each other about the race, but Cuomo did recently tell donors he hopes Trump will help him beat Mamdani, according to audio obtained by Politico. And then, of course, there's the current mayor, Eric Adams, as the New York Times reports. According to 4 people familiar with the discussions, close advisors had spent days crafting a plan for Trump to nominate Adams to be ambassador to the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia in an effort to get him to drop out of the race. Both men have denied any such discussions, and Adams has said he is staying in the race. In fact, here's what Mamdani told voters just moments ago. Watch.
New York City is not for sale to Donald Trump's billionaire donors. It is not for sale to corrupt politicians like Andrew Cuomo. We have to beat Andrew Cuomo one more time. This is a man who does not understand that no means no.
Joining us now is Lindsey Boylan. She worked for former Governor Andrew Cuomo as an aide and was one of the first women of many to publicly accuse him of sexual harassment. Cuomo has denied the allegations. She's also an activist and politician. As someone who spoke out against him, Lindsey, I'm curious to get your thoughts on the fact that Andrew Cuomo has not gone away. And this, I would argue, very powerful line from Zohran Mamdani, very simple, straight to the point, when he says, you know, we beat him once, we're going to have to beat him again, because Andrew Cuomo, for him, no, he doesn't know that no means no.
He doesn't know that no means no. And I think all of the women who came forward against him spent years and have spent years explaining to the public how his abuse of women is his abuse of power. And the only good thing that's happening right now with him continuing to run is that everyone sees it. If you're looking, you can see that he doesn't accept no for an answer. He doesn't accept reality, and he's going to have to be beat and emasculated again.
How do you feel about Andrew Cuomo just being still so visibly and never basically being held accountable for any of the allegations that you and others have made against him? Allegations he denies, but maybe he's paid the price in having to resign politically, but here he is trying to resuscitate his political life and political career.
Well, you know, he didn't resign because he felt bad. He resigned because he saw in the future potential to do what he's exactly doing now, is if he was impeached, which he was going to be impeached, 2 investigations found, both the AG's report and the Assembly report found that he did these things, and he created a toxic work environment. He didn't just sexually harass the women who worked for him and women around him, but he did it in a pervasive way. He was going to be impeached. And so him resigning wasn't him feeling bad about it. He wanted a new opportunity. And he doesn't even really want to be mayor. He just wants his way back to power. And in that way, you know, over the years, people have asked me a lot about what was it like to work for this man, even before I came forward. And I said, he's just like Donald Trump. They're basically the same person with a different letter next to their name. And one has a lot more money.
So do you believe it, that they're not in communication, that Cuomo hasn't been talking to him behind the scenes?
I mean, I think that Cuomo is probably begging in every private way to have that connection. I think Donald Trump, he is the president of the United States. He's meeting with Silicon Valley one day. He's ignoring the Epstein survivors another day. He's busy. So I don't think it's all consuming for him, but he likes to play in his hometown. And I think Andrew Cuomo is literally doing everything he can vis-a-vis his powerful donor base, the pollsters who are trying to be emissaries in the Trump White House to convince them that Andrew Cuomo can win where he hasn't won before, even when he had the establishment Democrats with him. I mean, it's not going to happen, but I absolutely believe, I know that Andrew Cuomo and his team in these, you know, cynical, circuitous ways are absolutely connecting and trying to make Trump do their bidding and pretend like they're not doing it at the same time.
Well, Lindsey, what struck me, I went back to the 2021 Attorney General report that your allegations were substantiated, as were many other victims. And what struck me was one political operative was saying about Andrew Cuomo while he was giving a press conference, he needs to show contrition. Yeah. Cut to today, he still hasn't shown any contrition, yet he thinks he deserves this position.
Yeah.
Why is he just unable to do what actually would benefit him politically, and just seems to have like such a mental block against how to help himself politically? Whereas, and also the elites of New York, does it just show that basically a lot of Me Too and the movement, that it was embraced but not really listened to at the end of the day?
Really good questions. You know, I've thought about this often. He could have had a second career. He could have had a second life if he really showed attrition, if he really did some soul searching. But based on my many years working with and around him and for him, it's just not in him. He's kind of a deeply sick person who just, goes off of his interest in power. I don't think he has it in him. And that's ultimately, once I get past, the harm that he's done to so many, including myself, but so many more than just me and so many more New Yorkers. It's sad. It's kind of sad that he's doing this. It's desperate and it's immature. If he were a bigger person, he could have had a second career, a second life. And he's made it impossible for himself. In terms of the Me Too movement, I hear that a lot, that it's, is it going away? Is it losing its power? I think it's incredibly powerful. All of these Epstein survivors were in Washington, D.C. There were jets flying over their heads. There were countless people trying to silence them. Women survivors across the country, we reach out to each other. We support each other. When the news came out that I was coming on tonight, I was amplified by many survivor friends in the network. It's really powerful. It's not going away. It's only increasing. And I think it's only convenient for a lot of really powerful men to think that Me Too is going away.
What do you make of the establishment Democrats who still have not spoken out forcefully in the midst of this race?
I think it's sad. It's cowardly. I've said that, several times. These are my leaders, too. These are the leaders of all survivors in New York, whether we talk about Chuck Schumer, we talk about Carl Hastie, we talk about Hakeem Jeffries, we talk about Kirsten Gillibrand, all of these leaders who are supposed to represent, I'm a lifelong Democrat, party of the vulnerable, putting the vulnerable first. That alone should be enough. But at the very least, Zohran Mamdani won the primary. The DNC is now retweeting him. The parties of the different, the five boroughs of this city are all getting behind him, even the establishment folks who endorsed Cuomo. And that you have some of our biggest leaders who are saying, I'm gonna put that on hold. I don't know what they're waiting for. It seems deeply cowardly and cynical. And if they're listening, I really hope they know that it's not just me, it's tons of other New Yorkers who are seeing their failure to act and their failure to get on board with someone who has proven themselves, who has won the primary fair and square, who is building a coalition, who has seen entire generations come out to vote that we have not seen in New York. This is exciting. How unfortunate that our leaders can't get behind that.
Well, let me take that a step further and ask you, why do you think they haven't done it? You said it's cowardly, but what do you, or how do you explain the reason why Hakeem Jeffries, a New York City native from Brooklyn, does not want to endorse Zohran Mamdani?
I think it's a few things, but a lot of the history of our party and in this state, there's a lot of money in this state, there's a lot of power in this state, and very few people want to relinquish that. And when you see someone who's not waiting in line, who has charted their own path, who isn't relying on billionaire donors, dark money PACs, isn't relying on corporate money, hasn't had that long institutional relationship that they've put themselves through, that they've contorted their own values through, I think they have a really hard time coming to terms with it. And I would suspect that all of the things that Zohran is talking about, taking on oligarchy, what he's doing with Bernie Sanders right now, that I didn't get to see it because I was here, but talking about taking on the most powerful force in this country, unfortunately, I think the leaders of our party are all too often beholden to them. And that's why this national tour of oligarchy that Bernie Sanders and AOC have been doing and are now in New York talking about is so powerful, because people see that. And unfortunately, maybe our leaders are too bought by the system.
It truly is remarkable when you just see the turnout at all these events in anywhere they go.
It's exciting.
It speaks to how much people just want change, and politicians that are not bought, as you said, by dark money and lobby groups.